Good morning, everyone. Welcome. You are currently in the collecting payments and custom receipts with workflow session. We're just going to give everyone a couple minutes here, or a minute or two, just to flow in, but I know we're all excited to get to the content. So a little bit of silence here for a minute or so, if that's all right with everyone, and we'll jump in. Thinking out loud here, we should start doing some like fun trivia, some type of trivia at the beginning of the sessions, you know?
Why not?
Get everyone going.
Yeah, good idea.
Alrighty. Go about 30 more seconds here just to let everyone kind of trickle. All right, for those joining, we're just giving it a few more seconds to let everyone kind of settle in. Alrighty, let's kick things off, shall we, Will? Welcome, everyone. Good morning. As I mentioned, if you are here at the top, we are going to be presenting today on how you can utilize your form assembly forms to not only collect payments instantly, but also incorporate two different features. So collecting payments and then generating a custom receipt with our workflow. So we're going to kick it off here with some introductions.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm William. You can call me Will. I'm a senior product owner here at Form Assembly. I've been here for about 3-4 years. I've worked on a lot of cool workflow features like workflow collaboration, most of the workflow native connectors, workflow response export that came out later this year, and an upcoming feature I'm excited to tease. You might have seen a pop-up in it in the app about it, but later next month, we're going to be releasing a new and improved workflow publishing method, JavaScript embed v2, which will let respondents complete the workflow within an embedded page end to end. So I've been hard at work on that one. But today, showing off payment connectors and DocGen. Familiar, comfortable using those. I'm excited to demo those for you today. Amanda, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Hi, everyone. I am Amanda Kaufman. I am an account manager here at Form Assembly. So some of the features we're going to be talking about today, my awesome team here on the sales team will be able to help you kind of walk through, you know, if you don't have a payment connector, if you don't have document generation, or you have questions on how to obtain those, we're going to talk through kind of the requirements later, but my team will be responsible for helping you guys out with those. So I have been with Form Assembly now coming up on 3 years, primarily working with a lot of our awesome, amazing customers. So some of you, I've already recognized your names in the chat. It's great to be here with you all, and let's kick things off. All right, so where are we headed in this session? First, we're just going to kind of talk through the two different connectors involved in the process of this. So that's going to be our workflow payment connector, and then we're going to jump into our advanced document generation. We're going to talk through sort of the plan requirements, what's needed to obtain both of these features within your instance. Then Will's going to kick things off. We're going to spend a lot of our time today, so I'm going to talk a little fast because I really want to focus today on Will's presentation and demo of the setup, bringing these two use cases together, and then kind of showing you the finalized product. So that's the exciting meat of the presentation today. And then we are going to save some time here at the end for Q&A. So make sure if you've got questions, you can throw them in the chat. But at the end, we're going to go through those as well. We have some resources at the end of the call as well, so you will receive links to those on your screen. So stay tuned for those. All righty, so let's jump into our workflow payment connectors. I want to harp on the fact that we're talking today specific to our workflow connectors. So our two current connectors that we have available for payments within workflow is going to be our PayPal connector and our Stripe connector. So a little bit of a difference between the two of these. Our PayPal connector is going to be able to enable you to process those payments directly with your form assembly workflows. The biggest piece between the two is going to be our PayPal connector does not support recurring payments. Whereas if we jump over then to our Stripe connector, the Stripe connector is going to route your respondents directly to the Stripe checkout page within that workflow. The respondents are going to enter that credit card details. It's going to be directly within Stripe. Completing the transaction, they're going to be routed back to the form assembly workflow. And as I mentioned, they're going to support that reoccurring payments. So both of these are going to be, PCI compliant. You're going to be putting those payments through either one of the two payment processors. And Form Assembly is not going to be storing any of that data. You're going to see some of that later during the setup. And then we can look and jump ahead here to document generation. So once you've taken that payment, you're going to be able to generate your documents, kind of create that custom receipt. There's a lot of different use cases for document generation, but today's session is focusing sort of on that receipt aspect. But what document generation is, if you haven't had the chance to utilize it yet in Form Assembly, is generating that dynamic PDF. So you're going to be able to combine a template in your Form Assembly instance to then take your form response data and plug that into a stylized PDF. So you're going to be able to upload your own Word or PowerPoint template and map those fields and variables into that template. So you're going to customize, use your own tags, loops, conditional logic to then control kind of how that document is going to appear to your respondent at the end. This is going to automatically deliver those documents via your workflow process. So you can set that up for an email exchange to then send that out to your respondent at the end. Right. Looking forward to, okay, I have an interest in this. How are the requirements set up? What do I need to be able to accomplish this in my Form Assembly instance? So number one, you need to be a part of a workflow enabled plan type here at Form Assembly. So if your plan type has workflow enabled, you will be able to set this up. After that, of course, you would need to have our payment connector. So as you saw before, you would need to have either a PayPal business or personal account or a Stripe account. Within those two, you can choose which one you want to use and then purchase our Form Assembly payment connector for your plan. Additionally, for the workflow requirements for PDF document generation, you would need to have, again, a workflow enabled plan. But currently we have our team plan that already has 250 included documents in your plan type already today. And then your enterprise plan, for those of you on enterprise, already have 1,000 documents included. Now, if you're going to jump on this use case and you're really excited about it and thinking I need to, go above 250 or 1,000, depending on my plan type, my team here can discuss with you our refill options that can be purchased if you exceed that limit. All right, so now comes the exciting part. Let's turn the tables over to Will. I'm going to have Will start going through kind of the setup of both the payment connector. We're going to see the setup of document generation and then kind of put everything together then as a full demo for you all to see.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. I've been seeing some really great questions in the chat. Keep adding those questions. I'll try to answer some as I go through this demo. But if we don't get to your question, if we don't cover it, then hopefully at the end we'll have some time to circle back. But loving the questions I'm seeing so far. All right, let me share my screen here. Okay. Can everybody see that? Cool. All right, I'm gonna try to take about 15 minutes. There's a chance I'll go over. If you see me looking down, I'm just checking the clock here. So in order to demo this, I'm gonna present a scenario. This is a generic scenario, but this use case, these features, they can apply to all sorts of different industries and use cases. So this is not specific to what I'm pretending here. But let's say I'm a university, and spring's coming up, graduation's coming up. I want to launch a form that can help friends and family register for the graduation event. At the same time, graduations are expensive. I'd like to charge a fee to admit friends and family to the event. I'd like this form to process payments. At the same time, it would be nice to be able to generate receipts and send them off to whoever is purchasing these tickets. And it would be really nice if I didn't have to worry about the actual physical tickets. Can I just generate some tickets for this event too? Well, with the payment connector and the document generation step, I can do all of this in one workflow in a couple steps. And I'll build this out piece by piece and show you how this all works. So I'm going to start with kind of a blank slate. This is a workflow, very simple workflow. I just have a form and a thank you page, redirect step, just a simple message here. The form itself is a registration form. It's asking for information about the graduate, information about the ticket, and you can purchase up to 6 tickets. And for each ticket, I want attendee information. What's the name of the attendee? And then an optional field for donation, university select donations. Do you want to donate? Yes, no, optional, put it in the amount. And then next steps would be click this button and then pay for the ticket. So back to the workflow. How do I go from this to the registration, receipt generation, ticket creation machine that I want it to become? Let's start with a payment connector. All right, to do that, we would add a step connector and select one of our workflow native payment connectors. We currently offer PayPal and Stripe. I'll show you Stripe today. It's pretty easy to demo, but this is very similar if I were to select PayPal. And one of the questions that I saw was about future connectors, future payment connectors. We do plan on bringing all of our form level connectors up to the workflow level. So authorize.net is a big one. You should see a workflow native authorize.net connector sometime this year. So let's select Stripe and authorize. I've previously entered these credentials before on another workflow, so I can easily select it here. We can authorize a sandbox account and a production account. This processes live payments, real money, just for testing. I'll use sandbox today. All right, and configuring a payment connector looks a little bit different than our other workflow native connectors. We see 2 sections here, a checkout section and a charges section. I'm going to add my line items in the charges section. And then in the checkout section, I'm going to add either data I want to send off to Stripe. So this will be written on the transaction record. So when I'm reviewing this transaction in Stripe, I can see additional information about where it came from. I could say, this came from Form Assembly. This was part of workflow response number ABCD123, and any other information I want to send to Stripe. Return variables is really cool. That allows me to pull data from that transaction and store in the workflow so I can use it in other workflow steps. And this Stripe connector works a little bit differently than our form level Stripe connector. For the workflow level Stripe connector, the respondent is going to be routed to a Stripe checkout page. Instead of Form Assembly gathering credit card details on our form, sending them off via REST to Stripe, we're going to actually send the respondent to Stripe for them to enter that information within a Stripe page, and then they're routed back to Form Assembly to complete the workflow. The main benefit of this is security. We don't have to pass off really sensitive payment information anymore. It's collected by Stripe within Stripe. We don't need to know about it on the Form Assembly side. We just need to know from Stripe, was the payment good? Great, let's continue the workflow. I'll show you what that looks like in practice, but it's pretty seamless. So let's configure this Stripe connector for our use case here. We want to charge for tickets for graduation. I would set the first action as set up one-time charge. This connector also supports recurring charges, subscription charges. Today we'll just focus on one-time charges. Automatically, I have a line item that was added to the configuration tab. And this is the actual product that I want to charge for. There are 2 types of products in the Stripe connector. An existing product is something that already exists in my Stripe catalog. A custom charge is something that I can create on the fly within this connector. So I'll show you existing product. I've already created the general admission ticket here, $15, and it's pulling that right from my Stripe account that I've authorized. All right, I want to add another line item So I'll do a new action, add one-time charge line item, and this time I'll select custom charge. And this is how I'll support the donation, which is a variable amount. I don't have a product for that in my Stripe catalog because it's going to change from respondent to respondent. So I'm going to create a custom charge here. Donation, friends and family, donation. I'll set the currency. I'll set the price to whatever my respondent wants to pay. So the price is going to equal the value of this field donation amount on the form. And then quantity, I'll just hard code that to 1 because it's just a single donation per form. All right, I think that's all I need out of this step. Yes, that is. So I have the line items configured. It's all green. That means it's configured. So I'll go up to the top to the checkout section. For the next step, for document generation, I'll need a couple pieces of information from this transaction. Primarily, I'll need the amount paid, and I also want the customer email address. But you can see I can store all sorts of information from this transaction, the payment ID, a URL to the Stripe transaction page in my account so I can quickly navigate to that transaction record. The status would be something like completed, the currency used, and some basic customer information like ID or email. That's the Stripe customer ID or email. But for this demo, I'll just use amount paid and email, and I'll store these as variables, which means these are just objects that I can refer to later in the workflow, which will represent whatever value comes from Stripe here. Okay, so that's pretty easy. I've configured my Stripe workflow connector. It should work end-to-end right now, but I will save the grand reveal until we've configured this full workflow. So now what's the next step of my workflow? I want to generate the receipt, and I want to generate the ticket for the event. I can do both of these in one step called the document step. This is our document generation step. This step works by using a template that you've created, and it'll look for these double curly brackets. That indicates to the workflow that this is where workflow data needs to go. So if I upload a template, it'll list out all of these double curly brackets, and I can map data to those locations. So I have created a template here. This is a 2-page docx document. The first page is a receipt. You see these curly brackets, and I have a value of what I'd like to go there, customer email here, the quantity of tickets, the donation amount, the total amount, and the next page is the actual ticket. We have graduate name, graduate degree, attendee name, and attendee email. And we see loop here. That's interesting. What does that mean? Loop ticket and end loop. This means that if there is a repeatable section, this piece will be repeated every time the respondent repeats the section. So like I showed you on the form, there could be multiple attendees, and I'd like information from each attendee using that repeatable section. If there are 3 attendees with information, then this will repeat 3 times and put all 3 attendees' names on the ticket. So that's kind of a cool support for repeatable sections here that I'll show off in a minute too. So let's use this template. I'll upload that to my configure tab. And it's reading the template, and now it's given me a list of all of the items with the double curly brackets here. So here's the first page, and here's the second page. So now all I need to do is map data to each of these fields. So customer email, I want to write that customer email value from Stripe. That is the Stripe customer email that they used on the checkout page. General admission quantity, I'm going to use the field, how many tickets, the cost for that ticket specifically. I have a hidden calculated field that is calculating just the cost of their tickets. I'm going to do that. The donation amount, I'm going to set to the field donation amount. And the total amount is coming from Stripe checkout. That is whatever they actually ended up paying through Stripe. All right, first page configuration done. And second page, this is the repeatable section here. So graduate name is going to be the same for every attendee. We're just going to use this field, graduate name, and the degree, another field here, degree level. The attendee name is, I'm going to set to full name. This is within the repeatable section attendee. So full name and attendee email, same story here within the repeatable section email address. So now to make sure that this section repeats for every repeatable section that's added to the form, I need to set this repeated content to attendees. So this means every time the attendee section's repeated, this section will be repeated. All right, configured, nice. So now what do I do? The respondent has completed the form, meaning they've registered for the event, they've paid for the event, we've generated the document, the receipt and the ticket. We need to get that back to the respondent now. So we can do this by creating an email step, and then we can tie this to the email entered in the form. But just for demo purposes, I'm going to email this to myself. And I'll set just a basic email content and then add attachment. I'm going to set that to the generated document step. All right, that's easy. That's configured. That email is going to go out. It would typically go out to whoever filled out this form, but for the demo, it's going to me. I'd like to do one more thing. I want to keep a record for whoever's registered and paid for the graduation event, so I can prepare. I'm going to send this document to Dropbox. So I'm going to use the Dropbox connector, use my saved authorization. I'm going to send the generated document to my FormFest 26 folder, and that's all the configuration I need on that connector, just so that I have a full list of all of the registrants and the payments for this. So I've completed my configuration of this workflow end to end. We've got the form, Stripe connector, document generation step, email. We're going to save it to Dropbox, and then we're going to give the respondent a thank you page. And remember, the respondent journey is on our form, out to Stripe, back to FormAssembly. So let me show you what this looks like end to end. It's pretty cool. And just to make sure you know I'm not playing any tricks here, this is my FormFest 26 folder, nothing in it. So whatever we generate and land here will be live from this demo. Okay, let's view. Here's our form. I'm going to select the number of tickets. Let's say we have 4 registrants, and then I'm going to set this repeatable to 4. I'm going to use a little cheat code button here. This will automatically populate the fields with data. So my graduate name, my friend that's graduating is David. He's getting his doctoral degree. We want 4 tickets. And then the attendees are Jamal, Zephyr, Ifoma, Rana, and let's make a donation. Let's go big, $50 donation. All right, great. The form's done. Let's proceed to the payment connector. So I'm being routed to the Stripe checkout page, and this is exactly what it looks like. And this supports the payment methods that are configured on your Stripe account. So you see all sorts of payment methods here, and at the top, this is using the default payment methods as configured on your Stripe account. A big one we get asked about a lot is Apple Pay. Stripe does support Apple Pay. You have to use, I believe, a Safari browser to access Apple Pay on Stripe checkout pages, but that is an option. So if I wanted to limit the type of checkout available, I would update my Stripe account's payment configuration. All right, so this is a sandbox account, so I'm just going to enter fake card information. Okay, I'll pay. Now it's processing my payment. In the back end, it is generating the document now, and it is emailing the document, and it is uploading that document to Dropbox. And then in a moment, it's going to route me back to FormAssembly to the checkout page. Okay, great. So that email is sent. It'll take maybe a couple minutes for that actually to hit my inbox, but I can show you in my FormFest folder. There it is. It's already uploaded. This is what my document looks like. The first page has been populated with all the data that I needed. And here are the tickets. The repeatable section has repeated 4 times. So I've got everyone's tickets: David, Jamal, Zephyr, Foma, and Rana. Okay, great. So that worked as expected, looking good. So that's just the beginning, but I'll leave you with that. From here, you can add a Salesforce connector or a HubSpot connector to get this data into those CRMs to store that data. You could additionally send these documents to Google Drive, to Box, to Microsoft SharePoint. You can, in the next month, you can embed this workflow and have the respondent complete the workflow end to end from a web page that you own. And you can set a custom URL on this workflow to make that branding experience even closer to your brand name. So there's a lot you can do from this foundation. I hope this inspires some ideas for everybody and shows the value of using these really cool payment connectors in tandem with document generation steps. All right, I will pass it back to you, Amanda. I think you're muted, Amanda, if you're talking.
Sorry about that. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know there's a lot of sessions today, so we have about 2 minutes. There's a couple of questions I will highlight quickly, but we do have all of your questions that came in through the Q&A, so feel free to keep entering those. We will be following up with each of you with those questions and making sure you get those answers, so have no fear there. The one that I saw come in multiple times was about the document limits, the 250 and the 1,000. Those are annual limits. They would reset at the time of your renewal. So they're specific to your individual renewal dates, and those amounts would refresh at the time of renewal. Another one that I saw quite a few questions on was what counts as a document generation. And so, Will, you can correct me here if I'm wrong as well, but when the document's created, that step is transmitted from your respondent's information going into that PDF, and that PDF is created. That is one document. Will, do you want to speak to, like, if it goes to Dropbox and an email, that doesn't count as a second document, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's not a generation of a document. That's a separate step entirely. That wouldn't count against your quota there.
Awesome. And then, Will, I know you wanted to mention a little bit about the fact that this is just PayPal and Stripe. What are our plans for other payment connectors in the future?
Yeah, we'll be bringing all of our our form level connectors to the workflow level. So Authorize.net, I know, is the big one that is likely to be next, but over the next year or so, hopefully by end of year, we'll have the remainder of our payment connectors brought up to the workflow level.
Awesome. Trying to read a couple more here. There's a lot of great questions. You guys have some really specific ones, so we want to make sure we kind of follow up with each of you. Given that we just have the last minute here, I'm going to pop to the next slide. This is our resources slide. There are some great links in here that will walk you guys through on how to set each of these up, the PayPal connector, the Stripe connector, or the document generation. And again, being respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to let everyone kind of go here. We really appreciate all the amazing questions. We will follow up with all of you guys again. Thanks for great participation, and I'm excited for you guys to take on this new use case if this is something you've been looking at with your team. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks all.